This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Valhalla Hour. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Sir SoCal. Rob is on special assignment that we are not supposed to talk about, so shh. With me, as always, we got Sam Nature Boy McClay. And we got Matthew Lestari. How are we doing?
Doing good.
Doing nice. Beautiful day in Minnesota today.
Oh, yeah. A little hot.
Yeah,
a little hot.
Well, the schedule's been out. That is the first thing we're going to jump into. Here is our schedule. As you can see, we open on the road against the Giants, against Danny Dimes. Then our home opener is against Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to try to avenge their Monday night loss to us. Then we have the Houston Strouds come to town. I'm actually looking forward to that game in particular. Then we go to Green Bay. Then it is off to jolly old London for our game against the Jets. We have our bye week. Then we come home and face the NFC North champions from 2023, the Detroit Lions. Then it's a short week to Thursday night football against the LA Rams. We come back and we host the Indianapolis Colts. And hopefully it's not a repeat of what happened when we clinched the division, but let's hope we come up with that win. Then 3 games on the road: Jacksonville, Tennessee, Chicago. Then 3 more home games: Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago. Seattle on the road. How in the hell do we draw Seattle on the road all the damn time? Come home for the end of our regular home schedule against Green Bay. And then we end like how we ended last year, on the road in Detroit.
Yep.
So what game do you guys have your eyes on as probably one of our most challenging? Sam, let's start off with you.
I am looking forward to, and I think the biggest test for us is going to be that Houston Texans game. We're facing Danielle Hunter. We're facing Stephon Diggs. We are facing one of the fastest rising quarterbacks, in the last couple of years. CJ Stroud's he's a beast. He can do it all. They've upgraded this year on offense and defense. They have a good young coach. That's definitely a team on the rise. Reminds me a lot of the Detroit Lions in a lot of ways, on how they built their team through the draft and through trades and through innovative coaching. That's a game that I have circled on my calendar and a game that I will be attending 100%.
Yes. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this Diggs' first visit back since he got traded?
Correct. I do not think I think we've been to Buffalo and played against Diggs, but I do not think Buffalo has played here with Diggs.
Yes, the last time we saw him was that epic game in Buffalo.
And Diggs and Diggs kind of ate our lunch the first half of that game and didn't do much the second half, and JJ outshined him.
Yes. Matthew, what do you think is going to be the hardest part of our schedule?
I gotta agree. I mean, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter against our O line. Hopefully, Darisaw is healthy. Hopefully, O'Neill's healthy because we're gonna need him. I mean, Tank Dell with CJ Stroud and Stephon Diggs. Our corners are gonna have their hands full. The question is Darnold still going to be our starter week 3? Hoping so. Is it going to be JJ? We'll see. But yeah, that's a huge defense, huge offense. They're my number 2 team in the AFC. So at least it's early in the season. Still kind of kinks are being worked out. They still have the early season jitters. Maybe we can steal one. But that's on both sides of the ball. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yes. That 2-game stretch against 2 of the best young quarterbacks in all the NFL is going to be hard. I honestly think if CJ Stroud can repeat what he did last year and get him back to the playoffs again, CJ Stroud could end up, a solid MVP candidate this year.
Absolutely.
After what he did last year, I mean, did he finally break the curse, the Ohio State quarterback curse?
I
mean, he did amazing. He's gonna be that one. I'm hoping to attend. I'd like to see that game because I was hoping when they told us the London schedule, I was like, please let it not be Houston. I want to see that.
That's what I heard too. It was going to be Houston. I'm like, oh, what a waste. What a waste. Because I mean, I'm not going to London. I'm just, I'm not made of money. I'm not going to London. Maybe one day. But I was hoping that game would be here in Minnesota because number one, the history, the former Vikings that we're going to play against. And number two, the Texans fans are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
They are fantastic people. They're die hard. They've gone through a long stretch of bad seasons with that team. And, much like the Detroit Lions fans, now they're getting the fruits of their waiting and their patience, and they have something to cheer for now. And, being in the VWO SoCal, there's a lot of close relationships there with the Texans fans and the Vikings fans. And I'm looking forward to them coming to, our state, our tailgate, and us treating them well.
I actually do have some news. I know some of the people from Nuff Said Tailgaters, they're coming into town.
Fantastic.
So we're gonna have to show them some good Minnesota hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest stretch. What do you think?
I think if you break it down in the segments, I think the last part of our season is going to be the easiest stretch. And I say that because if you look at our schedule, we don't have any cold games in the north. You know what I mean? So all the games towards the end of the year are going to be indoors. Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, they lose that advantage that they would have, for us traveling to their house, playing in that frigid, cold weather. We get those guys at home. The Bears are going to be a high-powered offense this year. The Packers are going to be a high-powered offense this year. I think it's an advantage for us to have them indoors at our house with our home crowd. I wouldn't say it's easy, but I would say it's going to be more in our benefit than the other games are.
Okay. Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, that Atlanta, Arizona stretch, those are solid teams. They don't scare me. I think we're a solid team. So definitely that end stretch. I always love seeing Green Bay at Green Bay early in the season because that field, when they have those heaters under the field and it turns to mush, you see injuries. I hate playing there in January. So yeah, that last half, which again, if McCarthy's starting by then, that's a soft half to get put into to try to go and win. So we need to start strong because we can really wrap it up with those final few games if we start strong.
Yeah. With Arizona now coming here, is this Kyler Murray's swan song as quarterback for Arizona? Because other than Marvin Harrison Jr., that team really has not got a whole lot of, noticeable weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be interesting. And I'm actually going to that game because Sam, I'm gonna want you there. My wife is getting knighted into the VWO that day, and that's also her birthday.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're going she get knighted in on her birthday and then go into the game in section 140.
Nice. I plan
So-
on going to all the home games, man, and probably making the trip down to Jacksonville too.
Ooh, I think that's going to be a very fun game.
Oh, absolutely. Jacksonville's a great team too. I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest here. Looking at our schedule, considering where the Vikings finished last year, this doesn't look like an easy schedule.
No.
You know what I mean? And typically when you finish, third or fourth, you're going to get a somewhat favorable schedule the following year. It's not that. It doesn't look like that. It looks more like a first place schedule to me.
Yeah. Jacksonville, that one's going to be a fun game. Tennessee, could go either way. That might be the trap game of the year.
Yep.
Or Indy.
Oh, yeah, Indy, because again, they really don't have that many weapons on offense.
Well, we have Trent Richardson though coming back, and he got injured relatively early in the season last year, so he's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But when he played, the explosiveness was there, the athleticism was there, and the off the cusp playmaking was there as well. So that play style might keep him injured for a while, over his career. But if he can find a way to stay healthy, that's a dynamic quarterback. So in that situation, I don't think they necessarily need a bunch of offensive playmakers to really do some damage. They have a couple good players.
Pittman's a good receiver.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's the running back they had re-signed last year? I forget his name.
It's just
Jonathan Johnson. Yes,
Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, the guy that ruined my fantasy playoffs.
Yep, and the guy that destroyed the Gophers.
Thanks for that thumb surgery.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that reminder, Sam.
I was at that game with Larry, man. It broke my heart. So you would think Jonathan Taylor would kill us on the ground. No, he killed us through the air. He was catching passes and shit.
I hate also to be the bearer of bad news, but I think the Aaron Rodgers, other Achilles tears have started because they open on primetime again in week 1. So
they have 6 primetime games in total. They're banking on him being healthy. If he goes down again, we get to watch. Who even is their backup? I feel like I ask this every week and I can never remember. But we're going to be watching him halfway through the season.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, that's going to be an interesting game in London against the Jets. Yep, I don't even remember the last time we played the Jets.
Yeah. Lewis seems to be having flashbacks.
Yeah.
All right. So now that our schedule is revealed and done and out of the way, we have another interesting signing. Good old Big Bob Tonyan. And yes, he has now been on every NFC team in the North. So can we call him the ultimate NFC journeyman now?
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew, let's start off with you. What do you think? Good signing, bad signing, or what the
confusing? I guess I can't say if it's good or bad because he's had a good season, and he's had bad seasons. But I feel like we have about 15 tight ends on the roster right now, so it doesn't make sense to me. I haven't seen the contract details. I can't imagine it's more than a couple million for the year. Maybe a camp body, but again, we have 15 camp bodies. So I'm really hoping it doesn't spell that Hawkinson's delayed, because I felt like the news on him was pretty positive and he looks good. So I'm hoping that's not what it is. Maybe they just, I don't know.
To clarify, we had a comment come in. Robert Tonyan was on the practice squad for the Lions at one point, but I think we all know him as a Packers tight end in the Aaron Rodgers era. Mm-hmm. So to clarify that, yes. So while he might not have suited up in a game, technically he has now played. So,
yep. And he was very productive in Green Bay.
Oh yeah,
very productive in Green Bay. I believe he got injured, never was the same again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, that happens quite a lot to a lot of Packers players. They get injured and they're just not the same ever since.
I.e. Jordy Nelson. A lot of those guys. So
yes.
what the signing tells me is Hawkinson is delayed. What Matthew said. Our tight end room is very crowded right now. Why make that signing? It's not like we have. I mean, I'm a fan of what we have at tight end right now. So why bring Tonyan in?
Right.
It tells me that Hawkinson is probably going to miss the first quarter of the season. That's what it tells me.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be true. But with that kind of knee injury, with how late he had his surgery, it would be silly for me to think that he's going to be there week 1. Now the news has been positive with him. He's doing heavy squats on that knee. He's doing light workouts on that knee. But that signing, it tells me he's not going to be there for the first quarter, or possibly even more than that. So they have to have the extra bodies there at tight end just in case another injury happens.
Right.
I don't know any other reason why you would sign him.
Yeah. From what I've been seeing from Sport Track and Over the Cap, it looks like, his cap hit for this year is nothing. His cash this year is nothing. It sounds like maybe it might be a vet minimum deal.
Yeah. As it should.
Honestly, he's probably just going to be depth just in case Hawkinson doesn't make it back in time.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but what were you going to say, Matthew?
I would say Oliver's a good-ish tight end. He's a good blocker. He's an okay catcher. And we all know young quarterbacks, their go-to is tight ends. So maybe it is just, hey, let's get another receiving tight end to pair with Hawkinson so that way McCarthy has a couple easy outs. Maybe, hopefully it's that as well. But, yeah, it's still just kind of I hope Hawkinson's not super delayed because he is our wide receiver 3. So
yeah, and you have Muse and you have Munt.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've also heard a large majority of actually Vikings fans have said that he'd probably be cut during camp.
Tonyan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
I like
possibility.
Johnny Munt as our tight end too. He's very much surprised me, and since he came with us, he actually did very well stepping up when Hawk was injured last year. But this signing was puzzling because when I saw it come across my notifications, I'm going, "Is this true? What's going on?"
Yeah. Why are we signing a tight end over a nose tackle?
Right.
What's going on?
Or that center.
He's 30 years
That
old.
center that's still available.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of money we can still do with that. But yeah, it just kind of puzzling unless he thinks he can make the team. Otherwise, he might just be a practice squad guy, which I'm thinking is going to happen in the long term.
Yep, and they might just hold on to him on the practice squad just in case, maybe week 10 they need him and because of injuries and fatigue and stuff, and he comes in and it's not a bad option, but I mean that room is so crowded. I don't think he's needed.
Maybe we brought him in as a spy. Just give us the Green Bay Packers and Bears playbooks, please.
Yep.
I honestly think maybe by week 10 he might get a shot to be tight end 3 because going back to our schedule, let me pull that back up. We have a week 6 bye.
That I hate that.
And and I was discussing with other Viking fans. We had an early bye last year, and we pretty much limped across the line with whatever we could get.
Right.
In terms of not only quarterback but tight ends and anything we could. We just took Joe Schmo off the street and said, "Hey, can you play ball? Here, we'll sign you." That's how bad we were. And I feel bad for teams that do have those early buys when we have like mid to late buys, because it's not good for injury-prone players.
Now the season's longer too,
Right.
So
yes,
There's an
And
extra
there's
game,
talk-
and that matters with football. It's every game is like getting in a car accident for these players
Yes.
as far as
And
the
there's-
toll it takes on their body. And now they have to play another game, and that they don't get any more breaks. They have the same amount of breaks as they did before.
Yeah.
You
And
know, so
especially
I wish the NFL would just stop playing games and add another bye week.
that's what they're talking about, maybe with adding week 19, or I mean,
Yep.
the
Yeah,
18th game.
Yeah, that'll probably happen in about 2 years, is my guess.
Because here's, I mean, they want their stars to play as long as they can, right? They don't want Aaron Rodgers going down week 1, and they don't want,
Right.
you know, they want their money-making box office stars to be there all year for these big-ass games that they have scheduled on prime time. And these networks pay a lot of money for these games, man. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yes.
they pay that money because of the name recognition. And, you know, when you got the, Nick Mullins playing for the Vikings, or, Zach Wilson playing for the Jets last season, it doesn't draw the same ratings. You know what I mean? Doesn't
now we
produce the
got-
same
No.
results.
It doesn't. And I'm actually, before we have our little mini halftime break here for something, true or false, that I'm going to give you guys a trivia question. Has there been a week 1 bye in the NFL?
Since you're asking, I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say false, because that just is nuts to me.
It actually has happened because of a hurricane. It just happened a few years ago, and instead of deciding to postpone the game because it would have caused chaos, they said, okay, we're going to make this the week 1 bye, the week 1 the teams buys, and then move that game to what was going to be the actual bye week for both teams.
That's right, that Tampa game, yeah.
Yep.
And then why wouldn't they just move the game to a neutral stadium?
Honestly, they've done it
They
before.
didn't have enough time.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost like you get no bye week.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, talk about drawing the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Well, and it looks like the second half of our schedule is very road heavy too. So that even adds to it, because you don't get to go to TCO and rehab in a top of the line clinic. You're spent in hotels, on airplanes where you're not getting fluid movement. You're stuck to chairs. Not a fan of the early bye.
Nope. Not at all.
No.
And I think the main reason why we have one is the London game.
Yeah,
Yes.
but give us the London game halfway through the season. It doesn't have to be week 5.
100% agree.
Yeah.
There was one time, I don't know if it was last year or if it was whoever, but there was a team that had a London game and then came back to play a few more games before their scheduled bye.
Yep.
And I think the NFL saw enough outrage and went back to the old way.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have to readjust back to Central Time from 5 hours ahead and all sorts of just a lot of logistical stuff.
Now, that's a fair point. But I would say it's just as bad to play on a Sunday and then turn around and play on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
As far as recovery goes and all that, and travel and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there was a time that there was an AFC team, I forget who it was. They played on a Monday, then they on Monday night, then they played a Sunday regular game, and then they had a Thursday night game. So they were playing 3 weeks worth of games in a 2-week calendar stretch.
Crazy.
I feel like we had a stretch like that recently where we played 3 games in like a 12-day period. It felt like.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. I think it was. We opened up on a Sunday, then we played the Eagles that Thursday, and then we probably played that Sunday again.
Yeah.
Or no, not that Sunday again, but like the following Monday.
Yeah, but call me crazy, but this would be the perfect scenario for London teams. If you're going to be playing in London, you get to have a Thursday night game, and then you get like a couple days to relax, and then you jet off to London to get acclimated to the time zone, because after your Sunday game, currently, you have to pretty much hop on board that plane, adjust to the time, practice, and get on the field and get back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's doesn't do well for the body, doesn't do well for the players trying to get adjusted, doesn't do well for us fans, because there's a large contingent of Viking fans that are going to be going from here to London.
Yep.
But again, I think that would be the best outcome for everybody, because then you get 2 Thursday night games.
Right. Well, then we got
also have a
Wednesday
chance
football
to
this
actually
year.
put in a good game plan too.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much the biggest downfall of those London games. You've got the logistical challenge, especially if you have teams coming from the West Coast.
Well, you got Jacksonville playing their back-to-back weeks just to prevent at least some of that. I mean, they're going to they're a London team anyway.
Yeah, they're always there, man.
But while it's great to grow the game, there's a lot more logistical issues than meets the eye for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Heck,
well, I mean, Green Bay and Philly are opening up in Brazil. I mean, it's not that big of a time change, so I guess they won't have to worry about having a bye week the next week, because I think it's only a 2-hour time difference. But I mean, that's still quite the road game for a week 1.
Yeah, technically they're playing in winter because they're going to be below the equator.
Imagine having a snow game in Brazil.
That would be interesting.
Right.
Week 1 snow game in Brazil. I'll
now this is
that.
their first. Is this the first Brazil game?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
And it's on Friday night, and that's Friday Night Lights. That's pretty much the start of high school season.
Right.
Yep. And you know what? That back in the day, that was always a big no-no, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play NFL games on Saturday, and you don't play them on Friday.
Well, now we got them on Wednesday for Christmas on Netflix this year. So just about every day but Tuesday is going to have football at some point this season.
Yep.
Yeah, and this draws a point. I mean, I'm going to open up also to our viewers. Has NFL gotten a little too out of control with the scheduling?
They have no choice with the player contracts. You need more streamers. You need more revenue. If you're going to play, or if you're going to pay Jared Goff $53 million, you got to be on Netflix for a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $53 million a year. That's crazy money.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for the viewer, but again, as the contracts go up, the cap space needs to go up, and to do that, you got to expand.
Yep. Revenue is what generates the cap.
Yeah.
How about instead of an international game, let's do a game in Alaska during the season.
That'd be cool.
I mean, Alaska has not had a professional sports game or even a professional NFL, an actual NFL game. Bring one there.
Now, how about one in Canada?
They did a preseason game in Canada. It was Green Bay and someone else. And I remember there was massive issues because the turf was coming up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you remember that. That was just like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And
it'd be kind of cool if the NFL did a touring gig to states that don't have professional teams. So that way they could see a pro game like at a college stadium or something. That'd be a pretty fun idea.
Hottest ticket in town.
Right.
I mean, then you can really start possibly thinking of expansion at that point to maybe states that have not been on people's radars. I know Oakland is still on the NFL's radar. San Diego's back on the NFL's radar. St. Louis.
Well, then look at the Battlehawks. They're drawing 36,000 people a week for a UFL. They would absolutely crush having another pro team right now.
St. Louis, honestly, is going to be the top one.
Yeah.
To get. We are just about at our halfway point. Mike, do you want me to run the video, or would you like to run the video right now? I can just go ahead and run the video right now.
All right.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast.
I don't know if that was the correct video, Mike. Okay.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
All right, we are back. We are actually on the Huddle Network, like the advertisement saw. We are on Amazon Fire, and we are on the world famous Roku. So download, like, subscribe, do whatever. Let's get some love out for these podcasts. One of our next topics before we go into our final topic, we were asked, what do we think our record's going to be? And Matthew, let's start off with you.
So I have us at 8-9. I are over under 7.5. I've been seeing a lot of like Sports Illustrated had us at 3-14. Been seeing we're underdogs in 11 games. That does not make sense to me. Again, last year we had 7 wins. Granted, that was with Kirk, but he also missed 9 games. And when he was gone, a lot of our losses were 3-4 point losses. They were not blowouts. I feel like our defense improved. It's our first time since 2015 having the same coaching staff in back-to-back years. So there's not going to be readjusting. I don't see us falling apart and being a 4-win team. I think 8-9 should be about right.
Sam?
I have 9-8. And like what Matthew said, a lot of these power rankings and predictions, they have us dead last, close to last, 4 or 5 wins. I think the reason for that is the departure of Cousins and Daniil Hunter is probably why they're making these predictions. But I do think our defense improved, got a lot faster. And, I think Sam Darnold's going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think he's going to be, like some elite quarterback, but I do not think he's going to be as bad as what everybody else thinks. So I'm going to go with 9-8, and I would not be surprised if they could rip off 10 wins.
Yes. I'm going to go with 8-9. We're just going to miss the playoffs. The biggest question is, are we going to see J.J. McCarthy at quarterback sometime this year? I think that's going to be our biggest question, because if we have Sam Darnold starting most of the games, and I expect maybe once we get out of the playoff race, then maybe they'll start J.J. McCarthy and get him some reps. That way then he can shake off any nerves. But 8-9, I think that's where we're going to finish. We might turn some heads, and if we somehow sneak into the playoffs, I would like that. But we still got a little bit of work to do on the defense. Again, the biggest hit was Daniil not coming back. He did a lot of good stuff for us over the years, and he's definitely going to be sorely missed.
I mean, he was one of the only players that generated pressure and sacks on our defensive line for the last couple of years.
I think what's saving us from even a worse record is the return of Harry the Hitman.
Yep.
I honestly think this is going to be Harry's swan song. He's up there in age. He got his start back at the old Dome. Yep. And he's going to be one of those that stick around for a while. We did actually lose someone from our coaching staff, but I think like very low on the tree. The reason why I say that is actually this coach lived across the street from my parents.
What?
Oh, wow.
I didn't get his name or get a chance to talk to him, but my parents said, yes, the guy across the street from us is a Vikings coach. So
I think to Matthew's point, we still do have the same coaching staff, the same special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach.
Yeah. Oh, see.
So there's not going to be a big, adjustment, big learning curve for these coaches and these players.
Yeah.
We're in a good spot that way. And we're not used to having the same offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and a special teams coordinator for consecutive years. It just doesn't happen. Usually somebody gets fired or, whatever.
I like our defensive coordinator. I'd like him to stick around after this year. But
he got to go out and get some dogs this year too.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I'm not convinced that losing to Daniil Hunter is a huge deal. Like, yeah, it's a big name. Yes, he had 16 sacks last year, but Grenard had 12 and a half. We drafted the best edge rusher in the draft. We got Van Ginkel, who's also a solid edge rusher. And Danielle Hunter's biggest knock was he was a sack guy. He was not a run defender. So he was good at what he did, but he wasn't an explosive all around defender. And I feel like Grenard and Turner are going to be more well-rounded. I don't think that's going to be as big of a loss as people are making it seem.
And you can use those guys in coverage too.
Right.
Yeah. I just saw some of our numbers. JJ McCarthy's only going to make $795,000 this year, along with Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's according to Over the Cap. So we have $16 million in cap space available at this point.
Which, all things considered, I think is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if we can carry some of that cap over next year to sign Justin Jefferson.
Well, if they sign Justin Jefferson this season, I think they save even more money towards the cap.
Yeah.
For this year.
Yeah, that'd be an extension, so his cap hit wouldn't really hit until the 2025 season anyway.
Yep, and that's when we would have the majority of our money.
Right.
Yeah, next year I think we're going to load up a lot on defense since we're going to have a butt time. We're going to have at least $100 million.
Well, and that might be why they haven't, why they didn't draft the nose tackle, why they haven't really signed one yet. Maybe they have their eyes set on a big time free agent next season to fill that void.
Yeah, but I mean, we have Harrison Phillips in the center, but I've seen some tweets saying that Jaquelin Roy might not even make it through camp. So I just can't imagine. Maybe they're banking on some of these undrafted free agents we brought in that are just kind of big bodies, but we need the depth. So I'm hoping that we're not just looking at like, oh, we're there's someone next year. Well, we can use somebody this year too, at least just for depth purposes.
I did get to meet Harrison Phillips at the draft party. He seems like he's really raring to go. He's definitely someone I would like for us to keep long term. He definitely fits the Viking mold.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a great guy.
Oh, yeah. I think he's raring to go and hungry for that championship.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest issue though with that defensive line though, and probably one of the reasons why Danielle Hunter was, cut loose and able to sign with the Texans was, okay, if we can't get pressure with 4 with Danielle Hunter, then why do you have them?
Right.
Right. So the goal is we shouldn't have to blitz every time we want to get pressure. So you let Hunter walk, you improve the speed of the defense overall with the new signings we have. And maybe now we will be able to get pressure rushing 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. Because like when you can do that, it doesn't put as much pressure on your secondary either.
Yeah.
Because you have an extra guy in coverage or an extra 2 guys in coverage.
Well, and Kyrie Jackson, his footage, he's a corner, but it looked like he played a decent amount of edge, and he got after the running backs and quarterbacks quite a bit. So that could be a nice tool to just kind of fake him out and send a corner around the edge.
Absolutely, and that's where Brian Flores is gonna eat. I love the personnel he's brought in this year. I do not think it's just we need some bodies to fill the spaces. I think he's building his defense.
Yeah.
And it starts now, and it will bleed into next season and the 2025 Vikings. Whew. I think about what the possibilities will be with the cap space we'll have, what the players will already have on these contracts, a nice mix of rookies and vets. JJ McCarthy most likely will be the guy next year.
Yeah.
I love where everything is going, and I love that now we can start to see Brian Flores bring in his personnel, draft the guys that he wants to draft. I know he doesn't draft the guys, but let's be honest. I'm sure Brian Flores had some input on that Dallas Turner pick.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Would you guys, if we need another edge, would you guys rather see where was it? Would you guys rather see I just had my notes up. Emmanuel Ogba, or would you rather take another shot with Yannick Ngakwe?
I liked Ngakwe. I don't feel like we gave him a huge chance. We only had him for 3 or 4 weeks before we retraded him. But
Yeah.
he's basically Timu Daniil Hunter. If you want someone that can just go out and get sacks, that's your guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could flourish in this Brian Flores defense.
I have heard though that the Bears are really looking at him though.
Yeah.
Beat him to the punch.
Yep.
So our last topic for the year, or for the show, offense rookie count. And we've got the most offensive rookies this year at 5. And we've got fellow NFC North, the Lions, with 4. And most of these teams are on our schedule. We have Rams, Detroit, Tennessee, and we got Arizona. A lot of them with rookies. This one just got brought to my attention. What are your thoughts? We got 5 offensive rookies this year.
Get the
So that says the most offensive rookie of the years, right?
Let me take a look. Oh yes, 5 offensive rookie of the year winners.
Yep. So I mean, and that just goes to we all know the Minnesota Vikings are a wide receiver factory,
Mm-hmm.
right? We draft Jordan Addison, we draft Justin Jefferson, we draft Randy Moss,
Diggs.
Stephon Diggs in the 5th round. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's crazy. So I'm not surprised at that at all. I'm a bit surprised that we're number 1 on that list, considering who else is on that list, and some of the most explosive players that have been in the NFL and that have been drafted over the last 10 years. It's a great accomplishment for Minnesota, but on the other side of the coin, you have these caliber of players, but you just can't get over the hump.
Yeah.
If you have 5 offensive rookie of the years, there needs to be some Super Bowl appearances in there at least.
Yeah, where's those defensive rookie of the years?
Absolutely.
Because that's the thing with this team is it's always, we have a great offense, but our defense struggles. Or last year, we finally had it on both sides of the ball. Kirk tears his Achilles. So it's just always something that prevents the talent of this team. I mean, our longest playoff drought's 3 years. We're like top 5 in win percentage in franchise or NFL history. But it's just always something isn't clicking with the other side that just always prevents us in it.
Correct.
Hopefully it turns next year.
And the Vikings
98 was
are
a field goal.
a Super Bowl away from being one of the top 5 teams in the NFL if you look at all things considered. Playoff appearances, win percentages, division titles, and a few other things as well. Multiple Hall of Famers, offensive rookie of the years, all those things considered. The only thing that we don't have is that Super Bowl.
And if we win one, that's 5 trips, which, I mean, there's some teams that don't even have one. Detroit. So.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, and I get into these type of debates all the time online. Oh, the Vikings are, it's a sad franchise. And I'm like, look, guys, don't compare us to, these teams that are winning 4 games a year every year, 5 games a year every year. We're never that team.
Yeah.
And if we are, it's 1 season or 2 seasons. It's not a long period of time where the Vikings are bad. It never has been. It just hasn't. We're always in the mix. We're always, for the most part, if you look at the numbers, we're always in the playoffs, right? We're always at the top of the division. Maybe not winning the division, but we're always number 1 or number 2 in that division. There's a lot of positive things, historically with this franchise. It's just you got to win a championship.
Right.
You have to win a championship.
Going back to last year again, we were in the playoff hunt until week 15.
Yes.
And that was with Mullins, Dobbs, Hall, no JJ. And we were still in the playoff hunt until week 15. But yeah, people just want to say, the Vikings are this cursed, diseased franchise. We're pretty put together.
Yeah, and they're not
Every
watching the
team complains
games.
injuries.
I
I
hate to
get
say
that.
they're not watching.
Yeah. It's
They're
just
not paying
they hear
attention.
Minnesota and they think, oh, inept.
Yep.
But here's the thing: if you think we're that bad to all those trolls out there, look at the Bills, 91-94, 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, nothing to show for it, and one of those Super Bowls was right here in Minnesota against Washington.
Yep. And even now, they had Josh Allen. They had Stephon Diggs. They had a great defense.
Yep, they brought in Von Miller last year, who had 0 sacks.
Absolutely. So, and they haven't even appeared in a Super Bowl with that roster.
Yeah, and it's just like, they're getting a new stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing: now with Diggs gone, are they just throwing in the towel? Are they?
They drafted that receiver, and it was a deep receiver class. I mean, he's not going to be Stephon Diggs, but Diggs wasn't really carrying him either. He had a pretty meh playoff performance. So, kind of like us with Daniil Hunter. If he's not getting you there, why pay him?
Correct.
Luca just chimed in. Schedule is tough. NFL didn't do us any favors. He could see 6 to 12 wins if Flo gets the D primed. Watch out. What are your thoughts?
So the blessing and a curse of having a tough schedule with this team this year is we got to keep our first round pick next year. So if we do only win 4 games, perfect. We get a top 5 pick with what should already be a pretty solid roster and a ton of cap next year. But if we go out and win 9 or 10 games, people can't sit there and go, oh, well, the Vikings had a soft schedule because they finished 3rd or 4th in the division last year. It's not the case. It's a tough schedule, so you can kind of puff your chest a little bit if you overperform. So kind of a win-win depending on how you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we don't have that many primetime games. We have the Thursday night, and then we have the Monday night, 2. That's it. And one of them happens to be against Chicago again. How we manage that, I don't
They
know.
love putting us on Monday night against Chicago, and it's always in Soldier Field. Well, for the most part.
I mean,
sometimes it's here, but
let's see. Where was ours this year?
At least this year might be McCarthy versus Williams, though, so that actually will draw some ratings. But
that one, the Monday night game is here, 12-16. And then our Thursday night game is in Los Angeles.
And you could kind of say the London game's prime time because it's the only game on at that time, but it's 8:30 in the morning, so I don't think a lot of non-Vikings fans are going to be tuning in.
Yes.
No. Because that's going to be almost like 8 a.m. kickoff for us?
8:30, yeah, Central.
I mean, bacon and football, what more can you ask?
Yeah, Bloody Marys and stuff.
Yep.
Sounds like a good
Start
day.
tailgating at 3 in the morning.
Okay, then you heard it first on Valhalla Hour. Tailgate at Sam McClay's house at 3 a.m.
Hey, I'm off on Sundays, so bring it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm off on the weekends now, so I'm loving it. I don't have to take any. See, because before I would save all my vacation for football season. Right? I didn't take no week off to go, fishing or all that stuff. I wanted to, but I love football, so I had to use all my vacation for Sundays and Monday night football, Thursday. I love it. Now I don't have to. I'm already off. I can go to all the home games. Not a big deal. Life is great. So come on over for the tailgate. And I actually do plan on hosting something at my house for one of the away games next year. Haven't ironed out the details yet, but of course, SoCal, you're invited, and Matthew, so are you.
Yeah.
You come on over, and maybe we could do something here from my house.
That'd be cool.
Because like I said before, I'll have the studio set up. I'll have everything we need here: tables, chairs, microphones, monitors, all that shit, and we can run it right from my house too.
Yeah. I think that also what I really like about football is the tailgates. You get to meet other friends, and Sam, I don't know if you saw my bio when I first got nominated. Football isn't more than what happens, but in 60 minutes between the lines. It's what happens outside. You get to meet new people that might become your friend from different fan bases. You get to interact. You get to have a good time. You get to And of course, you remember the Germans when they came over last year, how good that was.
Oh man, you build these amazing relationships, and that goes to not just tailgating, but even doing stuff like this on social media. God, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I have met hundreds of people, that I'm still friends with to this day. From different teams that live in different states, that live in different countries. And I still have very close relationships with a lot of those people to this day, because of football. I wouldn't know these people if it wasn't for football.
Yeah, I went to Paris a handful of years ago, and I have to wear a Viking jersey everywhere I go. And I stopped in this little random shop to get a bottle of water, and the guy immediately points at me and goes, Minnesota Vikings. And it was like, oh, like that, to be in Paris and have someone go, oh, Minnesota Vikings was super cool. Like to have that community overseas, to just be able to have something to bond over. Yeah, it's really cool.
Absolutely. And it's a conversation starter that can lead to better things.
Right.
Last year I was on a Canada New England cruise, and unfortunately we missed our first port call because we were in a tropical storm. So I was sitting, I could only get 3 games on the TV because it was crap, and I couldn't watch our game against the Chargers because of the fact the Starlink internet is absolutely trash. So I'm actually sitting out on the pool deck with a beer in my hand, watching on this maybe 20 or 30-foot screen. Sam, you would have absolutely gone crazy. And they were showing Sunday Night Football. I forget who it was.
Like your own little circus sports book.
Oh, it was so much fun. I was just sitting there on a pool chair going, okay, this is nice. But it was raining. So I was like, who gives a shit?
Coolest place I probably watched a game was the ESPN Lounge down in Florida.
That's sweet.
Right by Disney World. We went down there about 5 years ago. I brought my whole family down there. And I can't remember the game. I can't remember who we played on that game. But when you go into that place, I'm not sure if you guys have been there before, but it's football heaven on a Sunday. They had every game on, and you look around and you have fans from every single fan base in one bar, and you can sit by. You walk in there and they say, "Oh, Vikings fans, huh? Would you like to sit by the other Vikings fans?" And they'll place you by, the 50 other Vikings fans that are there. They had a big vote based on cheers for which game would be on the biggest TV in the bar, and the Vikings won that vote because we travel well, baby. And that was probably the coolest place I've ever watched a game, because I was surrounded by fans from all over the country, all over the world, one bar. Every game that's on at that time is being broadcasted there.
That's
the
awesome.
Beer's flowing. It was a great time.
So we have someone asking, what point will JJ be the starter?
2025.
Yeah, next year will be his first full year starting. He might get some reps in this year, but he's not going to fully start this year.
Yeah, the only way he doesn't start next year is if Sam Darnold comes out and turns into Josh Allen or something. And just, destroys it. Which. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying by any means he will, but who knows?
And then we've got this one. A Packer fan is actually liking the show. So we thank you for your support.
A little part of me,
it's all love.
A little part of me wants McCarthy to start by the Atlanta game, because I really want to talk about this before the show is over. The return of Kirk. Obviously, that's going to be a huge story. It's later in the season, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be healthy unless he gets re-injured. I'm curious to see if he gets booed or cheered. It's probably going to be both. But if McCarthy's starting and we go out and just rip Atlanta apart, that's going to be epic.
McCarthy will be a made man if that happens.
Absolutely.
How hard would you laugh if it's Michael Penix starting when Kirk returns?
I think he's going to get booed, man, because Matthew, there's I'm not a part of this segment, but there was a large part of the Vikings fan base that did not like Kirk, and they never liked Kirk, and they never will like Kirk.
And that was
no matter what he did or what he does.
And there were people like me that were his staunchest defenders that have kind of flipped on him because of the whole Yeah, like, oh, I want to stay here. It's not about the money. Oh, but they're going to pay me. And then have the report coming out that he refused to have someone back him up because he don't want the competition. And that was another reason why he went away is because the Vikings told him, like, hey, we're looking at bringing in another quarterback in the draft this year. He's like, well, I don't want to be here if I'm going to have competition. It's the NFL. You can be Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to draft Jordan Love. I'm sorry. It's going to happen. You're going to have competition.
Yeah, but the irony in that, though, is he goes to Atlanta, and they end
There
up
you
drafting
go.
a guy in the first round.
Right.
Lucas says Kirk never sees the field, and the Falcons eat all that cap.
Yeah, Luca's one of
They
those
would just
guys
trade
that
him
did
to
like
Las
him.
Vegas at that point. Yeah.
I liked him at some points, but honestly, supposedly he says he's regretting it. Yoli, if you ever want to come onto the show, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to have you on the show at any given point. Luca, he said, no, there you go. And then Yoli says, my question to you guys, good luck with Aaron Jones.
Hey, if he could stay healthy, 100 yards a game the last 5 games this season.
Hey, real quick, though, before we get off, what would you guys think about Dalvin Cook coming back at a nice low price to be a backup? Maybe you pay him $3-4 million for that year to back up Aaron Jones. Or do you think that Ty Chandler will be a good enough backup?
I would rather roll with Ty Chandler.
Yes, Dalvin Cook had his great moments, but he was injured quite a bit.
He was.
And I'd rather see Ty Chandler because I think Aaron Jones will be solid. Ty Chandler couldn't learn from a very solid player.
Yeah, and Ty Chandler did have some great games last year too.
Yeah, and Cook was on a pretty good Ravens roster last year, and with the attention being off him because they got Lamar Jackson, they have decent receivers, he still couldn't produce.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just he went to the Jets and was
really
stashed away. No, because there's nothing to use.
Same with the Jets. They never really used him.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything left there. We got all the mileage off of him before we let him go. So
good. Okay.
So until next weekend, we will have Rob back for sure. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for the likes, the comments, everything. Your support of this show over the past few months have been amazing. Luca, before we get off, says if Ty can consistently pass block, he would be a start.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to thank our viewers. I want to thank our producers behind the camera. And I want to thank Sam McClay, one of my good friends, and Matthew, one of my other good friends. Thank you so much for joining us on this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You guys all enjoy your weekend. And no matter where you are, crack open a cold one because football is just getting started.
One final goal.
Oh!
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.